The space above Thresh 7 burned with the fire of 1,000 dying stars. Two massive fleets tore into each other with weapons that could crack planets. The Crethean Empire had brought 300 warships to claim the world below. The Nomarian coalition answered with 400 vessels of their own. For 3 months they had fought over a planet that neither side truly cared about. They wanted the rare metals buried beneath its surface. They wanted to prove they were stronger than their enemy. They wanted to win no matter the cost. On the surface of Thresh 7, millions of civilians huddled in shelters. They watched their sky turn red with explosions. Debris from destroyed ships fell like burning rain. The aliens who lived there had once been a peaceful people. Now they were caught between two empires that treated their world as a battlefield. No one was coming to save them. The Galactic Council had sent messages of concern, but nothing more. In this corner of space, might made right, and the weak simply died. Commander Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the UES Eternal Requiem and watched the battle from a safe distance. His ship floated in the darkness beyond the fighting, invisible to both fleets. The stealth systems wrapped around the Requiem like a cloak, bending light and sensor waves around its massive hull. He had been observing the conflict for 6 hours now. Every minute brought new horrors. Ships exploded with crews still aboard. Weapons meant for military targets missed and struck the planet below. The aliens fought with brutal efficiency but no honor. The bridge around him hummed with quiet activity. His crew worked at their stations with practiced calm. They had trained for this moment for years, but training was different from reality. They were about to announce humanity's presence to a galaxy that didn't know Earth existed. Some civilizations thought humans were myths. Others had detected Earth's radio signals decades ago, but dismissed them as primitive noise. None of them expected what was coming. Lieutenant Ara looked up from her weapons console. She was young for her rank, barely 30, but her tactical mind was sharper than officers twice her age. Commander, the Crethean flagship just fired on a civilian evacuation shuttle. It's breaking apart in orbit. Her voice was steady, but anger flickered in her eyes. Hyunwoo felt the same anger. He had read the reports about both the Cretheans and Nomarians. They were not evil, not really. They were arrogant. They had fought each other for so long that civilian casualties had become background noise. They assumed this was how war had to be. No one had ever shown them differently. "How many aboard the shuttle?" he asked. 800 civilians, sir. Mostly children being evacuated from the northern continent. Ara's fingers moved across her console. The Nomarians are moving to intercept the wreckage. They might try to rescue survivors. Chief Engineer Dae-hyun spoke from the engineering station. He was older than most of the crew, gray touching his temples. He had helped design the Requiem's most advanced systems. Or they'll claim the Cretheans deliberately targeted children and use it for propaganda. These aliens don't think like we do, Commander. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward from her position near the communications array. She wore the formal uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, crisp and clean against the military gray of the bridge. "We should contact them now, before more people die. If we explain that we're here to help, surely they'll listen to reason." Hyunwoo respected Yuna's optimism, but he had studied warfare for 20 years. "They won't stop because we ask nicely. They'll demand to know who we are, where we came from, and why they should care. While they're asking questions, people will keep dying." "Then what do you suggest?" Yuna asked. "We announce ourselves by attacking? That will make us no better than them. We announce ourselves by showing them there's a bigger shark in the water," Hyunwoo said quietly. "We show them that the rules just changed." He walked to the center of the bridge where a holographic display showed the entire battlefield. Red dots marked Crethean ships, blue marked Nomarian vessels. Thousands of smaller dots represented fighters, missiles, and debris. In the middle of it all, Thresh 7 spun slowly, its atmosphere glowing with the heat of falling wreckage. "Bring us in," Hyunwoo ordered, full power to engines. "I want us over the battlefield in 20 minutes. Navigation, plot a course that puts us between both fleets and the planet." The navigation officer, a quiet man named Jun-ho, nodded. "Course plotted, sir. Executing now." The Requiem began to move. At 15 kilometers long, it was larger than anything humanity had built before. It carried weapons based on theories that alien scientists had never imagined. Its armor was layered with materials that could withstand star-level heat. Its reactors produced more power than some alien civilizations used in a year. Earth had spent 40 years building this ship in secret, preparing for the day when humanity would step onto the galactic stage. Dae-hyun monitored the ship's systems, all reactors operating at 90%. Stealth systems will disengage when we reach the battlefield. Hull temperature is stable. Weapons are charged and ready, though I still think we're showing off. Sometimes showing off prevents a fight, Hyunwoo replied. Ara, when we drop stealth, I want active sensors on full power. Let them see exactly how big we are. Understood, sir. Ara's smile was predatory. She had run simulations against both Crethean and Nomarian ships. The results were not close. They're going to panic. Let them, Hyunwoo said. Panic makes people stop and think. Yuna, prepare a message for both fleets. Keep it simple. Tell them to cease fire immediately and withdraw to minimum safe distance from the planet. Tell them a new power is taking control of this system. Yuna moved to her console, her earlier doubt replaced with purpose. What if they don't listen? Then we make them listen. The minutes crawled past. The Requiem accelerated toward the battle, crossing distances that would take alien ships hours to cover. Its fusion drives pushed it faster and faster. On the view screen, the fighting grew larger. Hyunwoo could see individual ships now, locked in combat at ranges that seemed suicidal. The aliens fought close, their shields touching, their weapons firing at point-blank range. 30 seconds to position, Junho announced. Hyunwoo took a deep breath. Everything humanity had worked for came down to this moment. If they succeeded, Earth would become a major power overnight. If they failed, humanity might face invasion from civilizations that saw them as a threat. Disengage stealth systems, he ordered. Show them what they're dealing with. The Requiem stealth field collapsed. Suddenly, every sensor in the system could see it. The massive human warship appeared above the battlefield like a mountain materializing from nowhere. Its shadow fell across both fleets, blocking out the light from the system's star. On 1,000 alien bridges, alarms began to scream. The galaxy had just learned that humanity was real. And humanity had brought the biggest stick anyone had ever seen. Admiral Velthar of the Crethean Imperial Fleet had commanded warships for 30 cycles. He had fought in 17 major battles and won them all. His tactical genius was legendary among his people. But nothing in his experience had prepared him for the moment when his sensors officer began screaming. Massive gravitational anomaly. Unknown vessel emerging directly above us. Size readings are impossible, Admiral. The computer thinks it's a moon. Velthar's 4 eyes fixed on his main display. The reading had to be wrong. No ship could be that large. His own flagship, the Pride of Crethia, was the largest vessel in the Empire's fleet. It measured 2 kilometers from bow to stern. The object appearing above the battlefield was 7 times larger. No, 8 times. The sensors kept revising upward as more of the vessel became visible. What is that thing? His weapons officer whispered. The unknown ship materialized like a mountain forming in space. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, and shaped like a blade. Lights glowed along its surface in patterns Velthar didn't recognize. Weapon ports dotted its sides by the hundreds, maybe thousands. The sheer mass of it created gravitational effects that pulled smaller ships off course. Are the Nomarians using some kind of projection? A trick to make us retreat? Velthar demanded. No, sir. Mass readings are real. Hull composition is unknown. That vessel is actually there. And it's bigger than anything in our database. Across the battlefield, Warmaster Corrin of the Nomarian Coalition faced the same impossible sight. Her tactical officers argued among themselves, trying to identify the vessel. Some thought it was a Crethean secret weapon. Others believed it was something from beyond known space. Corrin was more practical. She saw a threat and immediately began calculating how to destroy it. All ships, defensive formation pattern 7, she commanded. Bring heavy weapons to bear on the unknown vessel. If the Cretheans have built this monstrosity, we destroy it before they can use it against our worlds. The fighting between the 2 fleets sputtered and stopped. Thousands of ships turned away from their enemies and toward the massive newcomer. For the first time in 3 months, Cretheans and Nomarians weren't shooting at each other. They were both staring upward in shock and fear. On the surface of Thresh 7, a young alien named Hanul watched the sky change. She had been living in a shelter for 2 months ever since the fighting had destroyed her city. Every day brought new explosions, new fires, new death. She had stopped believing anyone would save her people. The galaxy's great powers didn't care about one small world caught in someone else's war. But now something new was happening. The sky had gone dark at midday. She could see the shadow of something enormous spreading across the clouds. Other refugees crowded around the shelter's viewing ports, pointing and crying out in confusion. Was this another weapon? Something worse than what they had already endured? Then the explosions stopped. The constant thunder of orbital warfare went silent. For the first time in months, Hanul heard nothing but wind. Aboard the Requiem, Lieutenant Ara watched her tactical display with satisfaction. Both fleets have stopped firing on each other. They're repositioning to face us. The Nomarians are charging weapons. The Krathians are doing the same. Predictable, Commander Hyunwoo said. They see something new and their first instinct is to attack it. Yuna, send your message now. Ambassador Yuna activated the communication system. Her message went out on every frequency both fleets used. Attention Krathian and Nomarian forces. This is Ambassador Yuna of the United Earth Systems. You are ordered to cease all military operations immediately and withdraw to minimum safe distance from this planet. This system is now under Earth's protection. Any ship that fires another shot will be disabled. You have 2 minutes to comply. The message repeated in 6 different languages. Yuna had spent years learning alien speech patterns, preparing for this moment. She made sure her words were clear and simple. There could be no confusion about humanity's demands. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Admiral Velthar's face appeared on the main view screen. He was tall and thin, with purple skin and 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern. His expression mixed anger with disbelief. I am Admiral Velthar of the Krathian Empire. You claim to represent something called Earth? I have never heard of your species. You have no authority in this sector. If you do not withdraw immediately, I will consider you hostile and destroy your vessel. Yunwoo stepped forward so Velthar could see him clearly. Admiral, I strongly suggest you reconsider. Your weapons cannot harm my ship. Mine can destroy your entire fleet in less than 10 minutes. I would prefer not to demonstrate this, but I will if you force me to. Velthar's laugh was bitter. Arrogant words from an unknown species. No ship is invulnerable. He turned to his crew. All ships open fire on the unknown vessel. Target its engines and command sections. Show these newcomers what happens when they interfere in Krathian affairs. 300 Krathian warships opened fire at once. Energy beams capable of melting through solid rock converged on the Requiem. Missiles with antimatter warheads streaked toward its hull. Particle cannons fired streams of accelerated atoms. The combined firepower could have destroyed a small moon. The Requiem's shields absorbed everything. Energy splashed across invisible barriers and dissipated harmlessly into space. Missiles detonated against fields that bent space itself. The particle streams broke apart before reaching the hull. When the barrage ended, the human warship floated in exactly the same position, undamaged. On the Krathian flagship, officers stared at their displays in shock. No damage, Admiral. Our weapons had no effect at all. Velthar felt ice form in his stomach. He had just thrown everything at that ship and failed to even scratch it. What kind of technology is this? Commander Hyunwoo's voice came through clearly. The kind that's several centuries ahead of yours, Admiral. Now it's my turn. Ara, disable the Krathian flagship's engines and weapons. Non-lethal force only. I want them alive to learn from this. Lieutenant Ara's fingers danced across her console. Targeting solution locked, firing. The Requiem's railgun spoke for the first time. They launched projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The kinetic rounds crossed the distance to the Krathian flagship in seconds. They punched through shields designed to stop energy weapons. They tore through armor plating like paper. One round destroyed the ship's main engines. Another shattered its primary weapons array. A third took out its communication array. The pride of Krathia went dark and began to drift. Emergency power kept life support running, but the mighty flagship was helpless. Around it, other Krathian ships watched in horror. Nomarian fleet is withdrawing, Ara reported. War Master Korin has ordered all ships to pull back to maximum range. I think she's smart enough to recognize when she's outmatched. Good, Hyunwoo said. Leave the Nomarians alone unless they attack. Focus on the Krathian fleet. Disable their command ships and weapons platforms. Avoid hitting troop carriers or medical vessels. I want to end this fight, not commit genocide. The Requiem's weapons fired again and again. Each shot was perfectly aimed. Krathian warships lost engines and weapons but retained life support and emergency systems. The human ship moved through the battlefield like a surgeon with a scalpel, cutting away the aliens' ability to fight while leaving them alive. Dr. Bora, the ship's xenobiologist, monitored alien communications. Commander, I'm intercepting messages from both fleets. They're absolutely panicked. Neither side has any idea who we are or where we came from. Some of them think we're ancient precursors returning to judge them. Chief Engineer Dae-hyun laughed from his station. Let them think that. Fear makes people careful. Within 10 minutes, the Crethean fleet was completely disabled. 300 warships floated helplessly in space. Their crews were alive, but their ships were useless. The Nomarian fleet maintained its distance, weapons charged but not firing. War Master Korin was clearly trying to decide if running or negotiating was the smarter choice. Ambassador Yuna broadcast again. This is your final warning. All ships will withdraw from Thresh 7 orbit immediately. Earth is taking control of this system. Any ship that remains in orbit without permission will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to comply. This time no one argued. The Nomarian fleet began a slow retreat. Crethean ships activated emergency thrusters and limped away from the planet. The most devastating battle in the sector's recent history was over, ended by a single ship from a species no one had heard of. Hyunwoo looked at the tactical display. Thousands of disabled ships, millions of confused aliens, one planet full of refugees who had just been saved by strangers from Earth. The hard part was just beginning. Now they had to figure out what came next. The silence above Thresh 7 felt strange and wonderful. For the first time in 3 months, no weapons fired. No ships exploded. The constant pressure of imminent death had lifted, replaced by shocked confusion. Both alien fleets had pulled back to safe distances, licking their wounds and trying to understand what had just happened. Commander Hyunwoo stood at the bridge's main viewport and watched the planet below. From orbit, he could see the scars of war, burning cities, cratered farmlands, refugee camps spreading like gray stains across the landscape. This was what happened when civilizations fought without limits, when they cared more about winning than about the innocent lives caught in between. Status report, he ordered. Lieutenant Ara consulted her displays. Both fleets are maintaining their distance. The Cretheans are working to restore basic systems to their damaged ships. The Nomarians are holding position at the edge of the system. No hostile actions from either side. And the planet? Sensors show massive civilian populations in need of immediate aid. Food shortages in the northern continent. Medical emergencies throughout the southern cities. Their infrastructure is collapsing. Chief Engineer Dae-hyun rotated his chair to face the commander. We can help them, sir. The Requiem carries enough supplies to feed millions for months. Our medical technology can treat injuries these aliens think are fatal. But if we intervene too much, we risk making them dependent on us. Ambassador Yuna shook her head firmly. We can't just disable their fleets and leave. These people need help right now. We worry about dependency later after we've stopped them from dying. Hyunwoo agreed with her. Ara, launch humanitarian pods to all major population centers. Medical supplies, food, water purification equipment. Include instruction manuals in the local language. Dae-hyun, prepare engineering teams to help restore their power grid. Orders flowed through the ship. Within minutes, dozens of supply pods launched from the Requiem's cargo bays. They descended through Thresh 7's atmosphere on controlled burns, their hulls glowing red with friction heat. Ground crews on the planet watched them land with a mixture of hope and fear. Were these gifts or bombs? Hanel stood with hundreds of other refugees as one of the pods landed near their shelter. It was twice her height and perfectly smooth. Alien symbols covered its surface in a language she didn't recognize. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the pod split open with a hiss of pressure. Inside were containers marked with simple pictures. Food, water, medicine, tools, everything the refugees needed to survive. Hanel reached out carefully and touched a food container. It was real, solid, not some trick or dream. Tears ran down her face. Someone out there actually cared. Back on the Requiem, Captain Jaewon prepared his fighter wing for launch. He commanded 30 pilots, all volunteers, all trained for this exact mission. His fighters were small and fast, built more for speed than heavy combat. They could outrun anything the alien fleets had shown so far. Listen up, he told his pilots over the communication channel. We're going to patrol the space around Thresh 7. Any alien ship that tries to approach the planet without permission gets escorted back to the fleet. No shooting unless they fire first. Our job is to look impressive and make them think twice about trying anything stupid. The fighters launched in groups of 5, spreading out in a defensive sphere around the planet. Their engines burned bright blue, visible for thousands of kilometers. They flew patterns designed to demonstrate both speed and precision. Any alien commander watching would see ships that could dance circles around conventional fighters. Meanwhile, in the Requiem's medical bay, Dr. Yun-ji examined data on alien biology. She had downloaded medical records from Thresh 7's databases and found dozens of conditions the locals considered fatal. Radiation poisoning from damaged reactors, bacterial infections, genetic disorders. Looking at the list made her angry. Earth's nanomedicine could cure almost everything here. But these aliens had never developed the technology. "We need to send medical teams to the surface," she told Commander Hyunwoo over the internal communication system. "They have hundreds of people dying from conditions we can treat in hours. But sir, I need to warn you, if we cure them, word will spread. Every sick person in this sector will want our help." "Then we help them," Hyunwoo replied. "That's why we're here, Doctor. Prepare your teams." Engineer Subin worked in the Requiem's weapons laboratory, monitoring the ship's most experimental system. The disruption field was based on theories that human scientists had only recently proven. It could emit a pulse of energy that disabled military weapons without affecting civilian technology. Life support systems would stay online. Navigation would work fine, but guns, missiles, and energy cannons would shut down completely. "Commander, I've been analyzing the alien ships," Subin reported. "Their technology is simpler than ours in most ways. The disruption field should work perfectly on them. But sir, using it is risky. If something goes wrong, we could disable our own systems too." "How confident are you in the technology?" Hyunwoo asked. 80% confident, maybe 85. "We've tested it in simulations, but never on this scale." "Understood. Keep it ready as a backup plan. If those fleets decide to attack again, I want every option available." 3 hours after the battle ended, Commander Rina contacted Hyunwoo with news from Earth. She managed long-range communications and coordination with other human vessels. Her face appeared on his private screen, expression serious. "Commander, I've received word from home. 3 more warships are being sent as backup. The Unity, the Horizon, and the Defiant. They'll arrive in 5 days. Hyunwoo felt relief wash through him. The Requiem was powerful, but it was still just one ship. That's good news.
What else?
Earth Command is pleased with how you handled the situation. But sir, there's a complication. The Galactic Council has detected our presence. They're sending representatives to demand we withdraw. Let them come. We're not going anywhere. There's more, sir. Intelligence reports suggest the Council was profiting from this war. They sold weapons to both sides. Our intervention just cost them a lot of money. That explained why the Council hadn't stopped the fighting. They wanted it to continue. Yunwoo felt disgust rise in his throat. The galaxy's ruling body was supposed to maintain peace, but instead they had encouraged war for profit. How long until the Council's representatives arrive? 2 days, maybe 3. They're sending a full delegation with military escorts. Perfect. That gives us time to secure our position here. Tell Earth Command we're establishing a permanent presence at Thresh 7. This planet is under Earth's protection now. As day turned to night on Thresh 7, something remarkable happened. Lights came on in cities that had been dark for months. Earth's engineers had worked with local technicians to repair the power grid. Water flowed again through pipes that had been dry. Food distribution began in organized patterns instead of desperate scrambles. Hanul sat with her family that night and ate her first real meal in weeks. The food came from Earth's supplies and it tasted strange. But it was hot and filling and gave her hope for the first time since the war began. She looked up at the sky and saw the massive shape of the Requiem blocking out the stars. It should have been frightening. Instead, it felt like a guardian watching over them. On the bridge of the Requiem, Sergeant Tae Yang prepared his Marine teams for potential boarding operations. He was a veteran of Earth's military training programs, scarred and experienced. His soldiers were the best humanity had to offer, trained to fight in any environment against any enemy. "Do you really think we'll need to board alien ships?" one of his sergeants asked. Tae Yang checked his armor's systems. "Depends on whether they're smart or stupid. Smart aliens will accept the new reality. Stupid ones will try to fight back. If they're stupid, we'll need to take their flagships by force and make them listen to reason." Sounds like fun. Sounds like work. "Make sure your teams are ready. We move fast if the commander gives the order." Commander Hyunwoo made a final inspection of the ship's systems before allowing himself rest. Every department reported ready status. The crew was performing beautifully under pressure. Earth's investment in training and technology had paid off perfectly, but as he prepared to sleep, doubt crept in. They had stopped a war, yes. They had saved lives, but they had also announced humanity's presence to a galaxy that might not welcome them. The Galactic Council would arrive soon with demands and threats. Other civilizations would start making plans based on Earth's revealed power. Some would want alliance, others would see humans as a threat to destroy. The easy part was over. The hard part, the part where humanity had to prove it deserved its newfound power, was just beginning. Hyunwoo closed his eyes and hoped his crew was ready for what came next. The galaxy was watching now, and every move Earth made would be judged. 24 hours had changed everything. The war that had consumed Thresh 7 for months had ended in less than an hour. Now the planet breathed again. Power flowed to homes and hospitals. Food reached the hungry. Medical teams moved through refugee camps, treating wounds that locals thought were death sentences. Dr. Yoonji watched her medical nanobots work inside a young alien patient. The girl had been exposed to reactor radiation during a bombing. Without treatment, she would have died within days. The nanobots flowed through her bloodstream, repairing damaged cells and filtering out radioactive particles. Within hours, she would be completely healed. Her parents watched through the medical bay window with expressions mixing joy and disbelief. This is their normal medicine? The girl's father asked through a translator. On our world, this would be called magic. Yoonji smiled gently. Not magic, just science that your people haven't discovered yet. In a few years, you'll be able to do this yourselves. We'll teach you. But teaching raised complicated questions. How much technology should Earth share? Too little and they would seem cruel. Too much and they risked destabilizing alien civilizations. Yoonji pushed those worries aside. Right now her job was to save lives. Politics could wait. In a secure conference room aboard the Requiem, Commander Hyunwoo sat across from a Krethian prisoner. Nelvac had been a senior officer on Admiral Velthar's flagship before the battle. Now he sat in human custody, his four eyes studying Hyunwoo with careful intelligence. You claim to want peace, Nelvac said in accented but clear human speech. He had learned it quickly from the translation software. But you came with a warship. You attacked our fleet. These are not peaceful actions. We stopped a war, Hyunwoo replied. Your fleets were killing civilians. The Galactic Council did nothing. Someone had to intervene. And you decided that someone should be you? Your species appears from nowhere and declares itself judge of our conflicts. Nelvac's voice held no anger, only curiosity. Why should we accept your authority? Because we have the power to enforce it. Because we're willing to use that power to protect the innocent. And because your own leadership doesn't care whether you live or die. That got a reaction. Nelvac's eyes narrowed. Explain. Hyunwoo pulled up data on a holographic display. Our intelligence officer cracked your military databases. We found records of communications between your emperor and the Krethian Senate. They knew this war couldn't be won. They knew both sides were too evenly matched, but they kept sending ships anyway because retreating would make them look weak. Nelvac stared at the data. His skin color shifted from purple to a sickly gray. You're lying. Our emperor would not sacrifice his soldiers for politics. Read it yourself. Your own admirals questioned the strategy. They were told to win or die trying. Meanwhile, the emperor used the war to consolidate his power back home. Every military officer who might challenge him was sent here to fight an unwinnable battle. The Krethian officer sat in silence for a long moment. Then he reached out and began reading the documents. His expression grew darker with each page. Finally, he looked up at Hyunwoo with something like defeat in his eyes. If this is true, everything I fought for was a waste. All those ships, all those crews. We died for one man's pride. Not everything was wasted, Hyunwoo said quietly. You survived. You can go home and tell your people the truth. You can help build something better. In another part of the ship, intelligence analyst Dong Hyun worked through captured Nomarian databases. What he found there was equally disturbing. The Nomarian High Council had known about civilian casualties on Thresh 7 from the beginning. They had reports detailing every bombing, every accidental strike on population centers. They simply hadn't cared. More troubling was evidence that the Galactic Council had actively encouraged the war. Council members owned weapons manufacturing companies. They sold arms to both sides while publicly calling for peace. The war had made them incredibly wealthy while costing millions of lives. Dong-Hyun brought his findings to Commander Hyun-woo during the ship's evening briefing. The senior officers gathered in the conference room looked grim as they reviewed the data. "This is worse than we thought," Ambassador Yuna said softly. "The entire galactic government is corrupt. They profit from conflict while pretending to maintain peace." Chief Engineer Dae-hyun shook his head in disgust. "So what do we do about it?" "We're one ship. The Council commands thousands. We can't fight the entire galaxy." "We don't need to fight everyone," Lieutenant Ara said. "We just need to expose the truth. Let the smaller species see what their government has been doing. Let the people decide if they want to keep following leaders who treat them like resources." Commander Hyun-woo considered this carefully. "Ara, how many species belong to the Galactic Council?" 47 major species, hundreds of minor ones. But most of the power is concentrated among 5 founding species. The Krethians and Nomarians are 2 of them. And the other 3? The Velnar Combine, the Rish Collective, and the Thoran Unity. They control most of the Council's military and economic power. Hyun-woo studied a star map showing Council territory. "If we release this information publicly, what happens?" Dong-Hyun pulled up projections. Best case, the Council loses credibility and reforms itself. Worst case, the entire galactic government collapses and we get widespread chaos. Middle case, which is most likely, the powerful species circle their wagons and declare humanity a threat. So we're damned if we do and damned if we don't," Yuna said. A communication alert interrupted the meeting. Commander Rena appeared on screen. "Sir, we have incoming vessels. It's the Galactic Council delegation. They're demanding to speak with you immediately." "How many ships?" 20. Heavy cruisers with full military loadouts. "They're not here to talk politely." Hyun-woo stood. "Battle stations. But no one fires unless I give the order. Let's see what they want." The Council delegation arrived in an impressive formation. 20 ships arranged themselves around the Requiem, far enough away to avoid immediate threat but close enough to be intimidating. At least it would have been intimidating to anyone who hadn't seen Earth's warship casually disable 300 vessels. A holographic communication request came through. Hyun-woo accepted it. 5 alien faces appeared before him, representing the Council's founding species. They looked exactly as arrogant as he expected. The Velnar representative spoke first. Its species resembled floating jellyfish with dozens of tentacles. "I am Counselor Thexvar. You will identify yourself immediately and explain your unauthorized presence in Council space. I am Commander Hyun-woo of Earth. This system is under our protection now. The war here is over. You have no authority to interfere in Council matters," Thexvar said coldly. "The conflict between the Krathian Empire and Nomarian coalition is a registered military action. Both sides filed proper declarations with the Council. Both sides were killing civilians," Hyun-woo replied. "The Council did nothing to stop it. The Council does not interfere in sovereign military operations. But you do sell weapons to both sides." "Interesting policy." The 5 counselors exchanged glances. The Thoran representative, a massive being covered in crystalline growths, leaned forward. "You make dangerous accusations, human. The Council maintains peace throughout the galaxy. We will not tolerate insults from unknown species who appear without warning." Elder statesman Kyung-soo's face appeared on another screen, transmitted from Earth. He wore the formal robes of Earth's unified government. His presence was deliberately timed to show the Council that Earth had political leadership, not just military power. "Counselors," Kyung-soo said with perfect diplomatic calm, "humanity comes to the galactic community in peace. But we will not stand by while civilians die in preventable conflicts. We know about your weapons sales. We know about the profits you made from this war. This information will be released to every species in the galaxy unless you agree to real reforms." "You dare threaten us?" Thexvar's tentacles writhed in agitation. "Not a threat, a statement of fact. Your corruption ends today. Either you reform yourselves or we help the galaxy do it for you." The connection cut off abruptly. The Council ships remained in position but made no hostile moves. They were clearly consulting with higher authorities, trying to decide how to respond. Lieutenant Ara watched her tactical display. "Commander, 3 more human ships just entered the system. The Unity, Horizon, and Defiant have arrived early." Hyun-woo allowed himself a small smile. "Excellent timing. Open a channel to Captain Minho on the Unity." Minho's face appeared. He was younger than Hyunwoo, aggressive and confident. "We got here as fast as we could, sir. Looks like we missed the shooting, for now. But I think round 2 is about to start. Form up defensive positions around Thresh 7. Show the Council we're here to stay." "With pleasure, sir." 4 human warships took position around the planet. They were nothing compared to the thousands of ships the Council could bring to bear. But they represented something new in the galaxy. A species that had hidden for decades, building strength, preparing for this moment. A species that wouldn't accept the status quo. Commander Hyunwoo looked at his senior officers. "Whatever happens next, we've crossed a line. Earth is part of galactic politics now. We can't go back to hiding." Ambassador Yuna nodded. 3 days after humanity announced itself to the galaxy, Thresh 7 had become the most important planet in known space, not because of its resources or location, but because it represented a choice. Would the galaxy continue its old patterns of war and corruption, or would something new emerge? Counselor Jiwoo arrived aboard the Requiem with proper ceremony. She led humanity's diplomatic corps and had spent years preparing for contact with alien civilizations. Now that the moment had arrived, she carried herself with absolute confidence. She wore robes that mixed traditional Earth styles with practical modern design, making a statement about humanity's respect for both history and progress. Commander Hyunwoo met her in the docking bay. "Counselor, welcome aboard. I hope the journey wasn't too difficult. 3 days and faster-than-light travel has a way of making you appreciate solid ground," Jiwoo replied with a slight smile. "But I've reviewed your reports. You've done well here, Commander. Now comes the harder part, politics, the art of making people want what you want them to want. Come, we have much to discuss." In the days since the battle, the situation had evolved in unexpected ways. The Krathian Empire had recalled its fleet, but not to regroup for an attack. Instead, a military coup had overthrown the Emperor. Officers who had read the leaked communications about sacrificing soldiers for political gain had turned against their leader. The new government was fragile and uncertain, but seemed genuinely interested in peace. The Nomarian coalition faced similar internal struggles. The High Council maintained public support, but protests had erupted on several Nomarian worlds. Citizens who had lost family members in the war now knew their leaders had allowed the casualties to continue unnecessarily. Change was coming to both empires, though no one knew what form it would take. Former Admiral Velthar sat in Commander Hyunwoo's office. His status dramatically changed. His own government had declared him a traitor for losing to humanity, stripping him of rank and property. He had requested asylum aboard the Requiem, offering to share intelligence about Krathian military operations in exchange for protection. "My people hate me now," Velthar said quietly. "They needed someone to blame for the defeat. I became that symbol." "You could help us prevent future conflicts," Hyunwoo suggested. "Your knowledge of Krathian strategy would be valuable. And I would be betraying my species. Would you? Or would you be helping them avoid more unnecessary wars?" Velthar was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "What do you want to know?" Across the system, Alliance leader So-hyun arrived with representatives from 17 smaller species. These were civilizations that had been bullied and exploited by the major powers for generations. They saw humanity's intervention as an opportunity to change their circumstances. So-hyun was a member of the Kel species, small bipeds with silver skin and large eyes. Her people had been conquered by the Krathians decades ago and forced to provide resources and labor. Now she stood aboard a human warship speaking as an equal. "Our people have waited for someone to stand against the empires," she told Counselor Jiwoo during their first meeting. "We tried to resist on our own, but we're too weak. Now you've shown that the major powers are not invincible. Will you help us gain our freedom?" Jiwoo chose her words carefully. Earth did not come here to build an empire or to fight everyone's battles. We came to stop a war that was killing innocent people. If we start promising military support to every oppressed species, we'll be at war constantly. Then what do you offer us? So-hyun asked, disappointment clear in her voice. Technology, training, protection from direct aggression. Most importantly, we offer proof that change is possible. If your people see that the major powers can be defeated, they'll find the courage to demand better treatment. We'll support you, but you must win your freedom yourselves. It wasn't the answer So-hyun wanted, but she understood the wisdom in it. We will remember that Earth was willing to help when no one else would. In Thresh 7's capital city, reconstruction had begun in earnest. Human engineers worked alongside local crews to rebuild infrastructure destroyed by the war. They didn't just repair the damage. They improved systems, introducing more efficient designs and teaching locals how to maintain them. Hanul worked as a translator, helping human technicians communicate with her people. She had learned basic human language remarkably quickly, her young mind adapting to the strange sounds and grammar. Working with the humans gave her hope. They treated her people as equals, not as primitives to be pitied or exploited. "Why are you helping us?" she asked one of the engineers one day. His name was Tae-sung, and he had spent 3 days repairing the water treatment plant in her district. "Because you need help," Tae-sung replied simply, "and because helping is the right thing to do. My grandmother used to say that power without compassion is just tyranny wearing a different mask. Will you stay here? After the repairs are done? Some of us will. Earth wants to establish a permanent presence on Thresh 7, with your people's permission. We'll maintain a small garrison and continue helping with reconstruction. But this is your world. We won't try to rule it." The concept seemed foreign to Hanul. Every powerful species she had known wanted to control others. But maybe humans really were different. Back on the Requiem, Captain Minho brought troubling news. His ship, the Unity, had detected military buildups in 3 nearby systems. The Galactic Council was preparing a response to humanity's intervention. They claimed it was routine defensive positioning, but the numbers suggested otherwise. "They're planning to attack," Minho told Commander Hyunwoo during a strategy meeting. "Maybe not today or tomorrow, but soon. They can't let us establish a precedent of independent action. If we succeed here, other species will start ignoring Council authority." Lieutenant Ara studied tactical projections. "They can bring thousands of ships against our 4. Even with our technological advantage, those numbers are problematic." "Can we win?" Hyunwoo asked bluntly. "Depends on your definition of winning. Can we destroy their fleets?" "Absolutely." "Can we do it without massive casualties on both sides?" "Much harder. And sir, if we slaughter thousands of alien crews, we become the monsters we're trying to stop." The dilemma was clear. Humanity had power, but using it too aggressively would turn them into conquerors. Yet showing weakness would invite attack. They needed a third option. Engineer Subin provided it. "Commander, I've been refining the disruption field technology. I'm now 98% confident it will work as designed. If the Council attacks, we can disable their weapons without destroying their ships. It will prove our technological superiority without killing anyone. And if it fails, then we'll be in a very difficult fight. But sir, I believe in this technology. It's ready." Commander Hyunwoo made his decision. "We prepare for the possibility of attack, but we don't initiate hostilities. Counselor Jiwoo will continue diplomatic efforts. If the Council forces our hand, we use the disruption field first. Only if that fails do we use lethal force." Ambassador Yuna spoke up. "Commander, there's another option we haven't discussed. What if we offer the Council a way to save face? We could propose a joint peacekeeping arrangement. Earth and the Council working together to prevent future conflicts. They'd never accept sharing power with us. Maybe not now, but if we make the offer publicly and they refuse, it shows the galaxy who really wants peace." It was clever politics. Hyunwoo nodded approval. "Do it, make the offer. Let's see how they respond." The message went out on all public channels. Earth proposed a joint task force to respond to humanitarian crises and prevent civilian casualties in future conflicts. The Council would maintain its authority, but Earth would have an official role in peacekeeping. It was a compromise that gave both sides something. For 2 days the Council deliberated. Then their response arrived. Not an acceptance, but not a rejection either. They proposed talks, neutral ground, limited delegations. It was the beginning of negotiation, which was itself progress. On the bridge of the Requiem, the senior officers gathered to watch the Council's response. When the message finished playing, Daehyun let out a long breath. They blinked first. "They're actually scared of us." "They should be," Ara said. "We came out of nowhere and stopped a war they couldn't or wouldn't stop. That makes us unpredictable, and unpredictable is dangerous." Hyunwoo turned to Counselor Jiwoo. "What do you think? Is this genuine, or are they buying time?" "Probably both," Jiwoo replied. "But genuine negotiations while buying time is still better than open war. We'll talk, we'll establish protocols, and we'll see if coexistence is possible." Far below them, Thresh 7 continued its recovery. Cities rebuilt, families reunited. Children like Hanul dared to imagine futures that didn't involve hiding in shelters. The war was over, truly over, for the first time in years. Commander Hyunwoo stood at the viewport and watched the planet slowly rotate beneath them. 4 human warships orbited above, massive and powerful. In the distance, alien fleets maintained their positions, neither hostile nor friendly. The entire galaxy watched this system, waiting to see what would happen next. "What are you thinking?" Ambassador Yuna asked, joining him at the viewport. "I'm thinking that we succeeded," Hyunwoo said quietly. "We stopped the war. We saved lives," we announced.